Hop on over. Hi, everybody. Monica's having a little bit of technical difficulties, but while we're waiting for her, I want to share a little bit with you about the speaker series. So Latino Pittsburgh is a digital speaker series that's an initiative of the Pittsburgh Metropolitan Area Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Its goals are to share relevant information, inspire growth, and foster opportunity. Speakers include community leaders and members, as well as other individuals who have a positive impact on not only the Hispanic community of Pittsburgh, but the community at large. So today we're going to be talking to Mónica Ruiz. She is the executive director of Casa San Jose, and she's on the Governor's Advisory Commission for Latino Affairs representing Allegheny County. We're going to learn about Mónica's journey to become a community leader and nonprofit director. And Mónica is on vacation, so she's having a little bit of difficulty. In the meantime, I want to see if you guys have any questions or maybe suggestions for future speakers. Put those over there in the chat or in the comments. The reason that we are doing this speaker series is, there are different ideas of who Latinos are, what Latinos do, even young Latinos, who they can be, what they have to offer the world. And we want to show how Latinos are making a change here in Pittsburgh, how we're changing the world, and how we're moving things forward in a positive way. We also would like to show that every person, no matter how successful, has their own struggle, their own hurdles. When you look at that person who is at the top of their game, has everything together, it's not always that way from the other side. We're all growing and we're all learning together every day. And one of the things that we want to focus on is how people get from point A to point B, who they are, where they come from, and how you can identify with them and use their experiences in your own life to move things forward. We have a question over here from Savannah. What kind of events does PMAHCC host for Latino college students in Pittsburgh? Savannah, that is a great question. We actually had a lot of plans to do different networking events and things like that before COVID. But now the playing field has changed a little bit, and we do offer a Google course or different Google courses that can help students move things along, learn. We are having a networking event for students that is virtual. So those are all things that are going to be coming out. Thank you for asking. So I really apologize, guys. We are still waiting on Mónica. Just kind of popping in and popping out without very good service. But I want to talk to you a little bit about Casa San Jose. Has anyone here been involved in Casa? You guys can put it a little bit over in the chat. What's your experience been with them? I'm going to pop over here and look some of their programming. I don't know if you guys know, but their legal advocacy is something that is tremendous. And here's Mónica to tell us a little more about it. Hey, Mónica.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry about the connection issues. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Mónica, can you hear us over on your end?
It's freezing. It's my fault. I have a really bad connection.
That's okay, Mónica. Why don't we just
start? Can you hear me?
Yes. Why don't we just start by getting to know you a little bit? Tell us about where you grew up.
You can hear me.
I am actually texting Mónica as we speak. I'm sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties today. While she is figuring out on her end, I am going to put her on mute, and maybe I can just tell you a little bit about Mónica. Let's try one more time. Can you hear me, Mónica? So Mónica is not able to hear us. So today is going to be more of a story time about Mónica. In our pre-interview, I got to know a little bit about her, and I want to share these things with you. Her story is tremendous. I always start And you know what, I'm going to share kind of how we do this. So the overarching idea is that we will talk to one of our speakers to get to know where they come from, what their family life was like. And the reason behind this is so that you, as the viewer, can learn how you identify with that person, what their struggles are, and to know that whatever you're going through in your life is something that you can overcome and succeed in as well. So Monica's grandmother came from Guatemala. She had 5 children, and she just didn't have enough to provide. So she left her children in Guatemala and she came to the United States, and she worked until she could bring her children here. Of course, as any mom knows, this is extremely difficult and a huge sacrifice, but she did it for the future of her family. And obviously it worked because we have Monica here with us today. Well, at least partially, not on the stream. So when she came to the United States, Monica's family was very economically disadvantaged. They struggled a lot. Her mom also became ill when she was a child, and Monica had to go to school, work, help at home. Her father was he was an alcoholic, and Monica had to pick up the slack. You know, in a lot of families, one of the children has to make sure that they can do the contributing and holding things together. And that was Monica's case in her family. She is popping back in. Let's see if she has a connection so she can finish her story. Monica, can you hear us? So that didn't work. So I'm just going to keep going. Monica grew up, when she came to the US, she grew up in Cleveland with her siblings. And at 16, Monica became a single mom, which is a tremendous thing to overcome. As a single mom, with her mom and her grandmother, they worked together to keep the family afloat. And when it came time for school, her grandmother insisted that she go to college. She said, the only way that you're going to have a better life for you and your family is to get educated. So Monica worked full time. She helped take care of her family. She took care of her child as a single mom, and she went to college. Monica went to college for social work, and she never thought that she wanted to get into therapy, alcohol rehab, and those things, because she felt that she had already really lived this part of her life and she didn't want to relive it. But since she had this experience, she was so good at helping people and getting them through that she went into it anyway. So Monica worked for a while for Catholic Charities, which brought her back to her childhood. One of the things that she said stood out the most about her childhood was that she grew up going to Catholic school, and she remembered all of the values that the nuns instilled in her, and she carried that through each part of her life. She always wanted to be helping people, she always wanted to be kind, and she always wanted to provide for others and the community. So this, she actually said, was one of the biggest influences in her life. Once she got her higher education and she started at Catholic Charities, that is where she met Sister Janice, which brought her to Casa San Jose. And Casa really has a place in Monica's heart as a result of her family's immigrant journey. One of the things that Monica and I talked about was this kind of never being enough. This was a topic on my Facebook. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. And we'll check in with Monica really quick to see if we can get her connected. Monica,
I think I'm in.
Can you hear us?
Yes. I'm so sorry. It's totally my fault, Melanie. I am in the Poconos Mountains, and I purposely came out here because I didn't want reception. But then I thought I found a spot that I could do this, and I couldn't. But I'm very sorry. But I'm here. I got in the car and drove to where there's reception.
We're so happy to have you. I actually, you know what? Based on our conversation, I started telling your story. I figured you would figure it out at some point. So welcome.
Sounds good. Thanks. Thank you so much.
So we went over a little bit of your childhood and how you grew up, the immigration in your family, how you became a single mom. Talk to us a little bit about your feelings and what that was like. Now that we know a little bit of the story, what's your perspective?
Yeah, it was pretty scary. I tend to joke, and I mean, my daughter's 29, and so I tend to tell people, oh, you know, that whole teenage pregnancy thing, I started that. So I've been a pioneer for quite some time. So yeah, I mean, it was hard. I was still in high school. I was very lucky to have the support of her father and her father's family. And so, I was able to finish school and work and do all kinds of things that that a lot of folks don't get to do when they become parents that early on.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, how do you feel now? I know you've come a long way and a lot of things have happened, but how do you feel now knowing that, that part is behind? I know older parents are like, oh, I wish I would have had my kids younger. Is that really nice now?
I mean, it was all right. I mean, we were busy, so it was really rough on her. So we were just always on the go and doing everything and anything. She kind of had to grow up with us, with her father and I, and we were really, really young. And then my youngest son is 10, and I had him at 35. And so I feel like I can't even keep up with that one. So I guess you should do it somewhere in between, which is definitely good. But I mean, I'm a lot wiser now, as a parent. Still make my mistakes almost daily sometimes, but hey, we live and we learn. I wouldn't change it for anything. I'm very grateful to her because I believe that because of her, my life changed and I was able to grow up much faster. And I got a pretty cool babysitter that's available a lot for me. So that's cool.
And how do you think that affects your professional life?
Well, I mean, I come from really humble background, we didn't have a lot. And I just remember, seeing some of the things that my parents went through. My dad spoke pretty good English, so it wasn't too bad for him, but my mom, didn't speak too much at that time. And I think that that's kind of like what leads me to the work that I do now. And I saw the help that they needed, the help that I was able to provide. I'm like many first generation kids who like had to read their parents' mail and translate at the doctor and, answer all the phone calls. And so, I mean, I'm really grateful that Casa exists because we can kind of take that on for some people.
Yes, and that is so needed in the community. I want to talk a little bit more about the things that I already brought up. You and I had talked a lot about the role of going to Catholic school in your life and then moving through going to college and finally you meeting Sister Janice. Can you tell us that a little bit in your words?
Yeah, sure. So, my childhood was a little rocky. My parents were divorced when I was 5, and things were just really unstable for a really long time. But I was able to go to a Catholic school, and so I found warmth and comfort and direction from the nuns that worked at the school. And I honestly thought I'd grow up to be a nun for quite some time. And it was the helping, when I needed help, they were there. And so I kind of always knew I wanted to go into the helping field. And so as I got older, I got a pretty good job when I was about 19 and 20. No, yeah, 18, 19, 20. And I was working at a really high-end hotel, making really good money and helping people. But I learned really quickly that I didn't really like helping rich people because they were kind of mean. So that's when I decided to go into social work. And I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And so I started working at Catholic Charities there. And I worked with the Latino population there. And so when I came to Pittsburgh, I thought, oh, great, that's what I want to do. I want to work with the Latino population in Pittsburgh. And at that time, I was working with folks that had mental health and drug and alcohol issues. And when I got to Pittsburgh, that just wasn't the case. There weren't a lot of Latinos in Pittsburgh, and the ones that were here really didn't have those issues. And then somebody was like, hey, if you want to work with Latinos, you should work with Sister Janice. And that's how I found Sister Janice. And that's it. That's history right there.
And I feel like you two probably clicked like immediately. You've both got that great, like caring, but you've also got that grit that I love.
Yes.
So
Many people compare us.
Right. Well, tell me a little bit about going to school for social work. I mean, I feel like, of course, it fits in really well to what you're doing, but kind of the structure of leadership and things are those things that you learned while you were in school for social work as well?
Yeah, so I think some of the things that you're born with, right? I'm the oldest of four children, and so I don't know. I tend to think that my siblings listen to me when I ask them to do things nicely. um, so so there's that, and then it's when I went to Pitt. So in the master's program, you have the choice to either go um, through the one track, which is direct practice, and then the other track, which is community organizing, social action. And so I met Tracy Soska, a professor of mine, and he changed my life. I had been a direct practice case manager for a long time, and I had learned, to help people individually with issues that they might be having. And so, but when I took that class, it opened my eyes to see, like, yes, we desperately need folks that are working in direct practice, but we also need to start making systemic changes if we want to start to make bigger impact. And so that's why I ended up going in that track at Pitt.
That's awesome. And I think that you are a perfect example of someone, making that bigger impact. And so I want to talk a little bit about how you got involved with the Governor's Advisory Commission for Latino Affairs.
Yeah. So, I got kind of tired of people saying there's no Latinos in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, yeah, there is. Right. And so, yeah. And so I have been doing a lot of work in Philly for a while. And then a lot of advocacy in Harrisburg, and just really getting Pittsburgh kind of like on the map for Latinos. And then I had been going to the Latino convention for several years. And at one of them, I was on a panel, I was talking to folks there. And then I was introduced to some folks who are really amazing, doing wonderful work in the state. I'm half Puerto Rican, and I don't have a lot of Puerto Rican connections in Pittsburgh. I work primarily with folks from Mexico and Central and South America. And so it was really nice to kind of be around Puerto Ricans again, and seeing. I'm also a member of I'm the actual, the chair of for the region for the National Puerto Rican Agenda, and getting to do a lot of work there. And so just connections all over. It's really great.
I love it. Well, I usually just integrate questions at the end. However, I think that this is totally relevant. Savannah asks, she's interested in becoming an immigrants' rights attorney, and she's interested in learning more about the legal advocacy efforts of Casa San Jose. Do you guys have any internship programs available for students?
We do, but we are not a legal service provider. We are Department of Justice accredited, and we will be having someone that is certified to practice. It's not law, but it's a recognition that you can get from the government, from the federal government. I'm sorry, but we do have internships available. And if you'd like, just send us an email and we can connect you. And if you wanted to do something more along the fields of immigration law, we can also connect with folks in other organizations that do that work.
That's awesome. Mónica is always here to help. When I need anything and I come to her, she's always so on top of it. And she is the same with the community. Anytime there's any opportunity to help the community, it doesn't matter if it's after work hours. It doesn't matter if logistics are difficult. It doesn't matter. Mónica is always there. And that is one of the things I love about her. I'm not going to say call her with your problems at 3 a.m., but you know.
But it happens.
So talking about that legal advocacy, what kind of advocacy do you get involved with, with the governor's office and that side of things, with the advisory commission?
Yeah, so it's just that. It's advising, right? It's advising the governor on the Latin American affairs. And so, you could be the best intended governor or mayor or whoever, but I mean, if you're not Latino and if you don't live in the community, it's kind of hard to see what's really going on. So a lot of that work is that advising. There's a lot of, I think there's like 30 of us across the state. And it's really great. It's wonderful to be able to learn from other regions, learn from other people who have been doing this for a long time. And, you know, it's just a really great opportunity. It really, really is. I'm really, really excited. And I'm very lucky to be in the position where I'm at right now.
So how did you get started in that?
Yeah, so I was nominated and then, you know, by the governor. And then we just started working. It's funny. You know, there's a lot of groups that I'm involved in, and the vast majority of them is just, they're so full of work, but it's work that desperately needs to be done. And so I'm hoping that, I always say, you know, when I get at the seat at the table, I hope I leave it a lot nicer for the next person that comes to fill it than the way that I received it.
Well, I see you doing that all the time. But what a lot of people, I think, would question is, you know, so many times when we look at government, we think maybe they don't have all groups' best interests in mind. What would you say to people who said, okay, so there's this advisory committee. What does that even mean? Do they really care about Latinos? What's going on there? Is it a check the box, or is it something that is really making a difference in the community?
Yeah, no, this is definitely this. I can vouch for this one. Is that it's definitely a good working group. I've seen a lot of good work come out, especially now with COVID, trying to get language access across the state, trying to get all of the information from the governor out, and then trying to make sure that we're still advocating for things like the census and get out the vote, and make sure that we're educating folks in a language that they understand.
Okay. And so what are the policy issues that matter the most to you right now?
Yeah, right now, definitely the census. We have to fill out the census. There's no excuse. Anybody can fill it out. It has to be filled out. We have to be counted. The money that goes into our local government depends on it. So our schools depend on it, as well as a slew of other things. So definitely encouraging folks to fill out the census. The other thing is voting. Registering to vote if you can, and then definitely making educated decisions when you do go to vote.
And so why, first of all, why is the census important specifically for the Hispanic community?
I mean, just like I said earlier, people are always like, there's no Latinos in that side of the state. There's no Latinos in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, I mean, even if there was just one, there's one, right? But, you know, the Latino population has been growing so rapidly, specifically in Allegheny County, and we have to be counted.
And what does it mean to be counted? How does that affect our future?
I mean, just for example, you know, when COVID hit, the folks that I work for were deliberately left out of the stimulus package, right? And so I was raising money to be able to provide like our own version of the stimulus package. And so as I was raising the money, people kept saying, yeah, but why? There's no Latinos in Pittsburgh. There's no Latinos in Pittsburgh. That, you know, how much money do they need? Well, let me tell you, I was able to raise $1 million, and that money went, and it went very quickly.
That is amazing, but not everyone watching knows what you mean. You know, those of us in the community, we get it, but we have some people watching who have no idea. What do you mean that people were left out of the stimulus package?
Yeah, so the vast majority of the people that I work for are undocumented, and they don't have a social security number. And so they were not included in the stimulus package. They have ITINs, which is their tax identification number, which is how they pay taxes. So even though they're paying their taxes, they still didn't qualify. If you're married to somebody, even if you're an American citizen, and if you're married to somebody who has an ITIN, it's a no-go. And so, you know, these people don't qualify for unemployment, and many of them work in the service industry. And so, you know, for many people that, you know, may have lost their jobs during this time, they still had a paycheck to come in 2 weeks. These people, the minute that their restaurants closed and things like that, they had no money. There was nothing coming in. They still had to pay their rent. They still had their kids to feed. And so it was a very, very difficult time.
I want to talk a little bit about what you just said about them paying taxes and having a number to pay taxes. This is something that, you know, can be an argument. A lot of people say, oh, people who are undocumented, they're just living off of us. You know, I don't want to get crude, but there are so many arguments that people make. What do you have to say to those people to show that this is just not the case?
Well, unfortunately, everybody has an opinion and isn't very well educated when it comes to situations like this. And, if you're undocumented, you don't qualify for any state assistance. That's not true. And then many of them have tax identification numbers where they pay their taxes. And they do it because, nobody wants to pay their taxes. I don't want to pay my taxes, right? So, but many of them do it even though they have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars a year because they want to prove to the government they've been here for a long time. They've been paying their taxes. They've been trying to live, in a way where they're doing things the right way, whatever that means. And then, and not only that, even if they don't have an ITIN, they're living in your communities, spending money in the communities, which is creating jobs, right? Which, people just don't get the contributions that folks have even in communities, even if you don't have an ITIN.
That is interesting. And I think, like you said, that's something that people just are not educated on at all. What do you think is something else that people just have no idea about that is a huge issue for the Latino community?
That you just don't wake up one day to become a citizen, right? So many folks who are here do not have a pathway to citizenship. Not even the dreamers, they don't have a pathway to citizenship, right? So, this whole notion of, oh, you've been here for 10 years, you've been here for 12 years, and you're still not a citizen. I guarantee they want to be citizens, but there's just no way for them to do it.
And so what does that look like for someone who does want to stay here and become a citizen? Explain to people who maybe don't know, like the green card process, the process that dreamers go through. What is that process like?
Yeah, so I am not an immigration attorney, but I can say this, that it's a very difficult and complicated system. Depending on what country you're from, there are extremely limited opportunities for you to become even a green card holder. So, if you are from Guatemala and it's been a dry season for the past 5 years, and the coffee beans that you grew are no longer growing, and that's the only thing you know, and now you have 5 kids and you can't feed them, do you get in line? Because I know people that have been in that line for 15 years and still aren't here, right? And so how are you going to feed your kids? So, there's just, and a lot of these policies, the United States has implemented in these countries that make them very unstable. So, people right now, I crossed the border from Ohio here, right? Why? Because I wanted to have a better life for my family and my kids and myself. And migration happens. It's natural. Animals migrate, people migrate. So, yeah, I could talk for hours on all these things.
We still have more time. Well, tell us a little bit. Let's shift gears a little bit, just slightly. We had talked a little bit about the issue of driver's licenses, and truthfully, it's not something that I had thought about that much before you and I spoke, because I think we're in a little bit of a different realm in the things that we do. And so I did a little bit of research, and it's a huge issue for those people watching now who don't know. Can you give them the backstory and what's happening now and where it's going?
Absolutely. So before 2001, if you were undocumented and you had an I-10, you would qualify for a driver's license. So if you have a driver's license, you take your test, you pass the test, which means you can drive, hopefully. You can get insurance, you can buy a car, and you can do all these wonderful things. But I think it was up until 2004 when they officially eliminated it here in the state of Pennsylvania, where you could no longer have a driver's license. Now, there are 11 states across the country where you can get a driver's license. But without a driver's license here in the state of Pennsylvania, it just causes a lot of problems. Number one, you can't drive, right? And so it's limited to where you can live, where your children can go to school, where you can work. And not only that, it's really difficult. It poses a danger, a threat, right? I would much rather have folks that are licensed on the street than not. And it also helps with identifying people. A driver's license is a state identification card. And so you can use that, if your kids, you can't pick up your kids from school and you want to ask your neighbor, and your neighbor's doesn't have a state ID, they're not going to let the kids go with that person. So, it's a basic human right. You should be able to travel where you need to go. And so we've been working for quite some time through a coalition from across the state to try to get those rights restored so that folks without Social Security numbers can get a driver's license.
Well, that is amazing and very important work. So thank you for doing it. Why do you think it's so important to know for people who aren't involved in these things to know about these issues and educate themselves legislatively?
I mean, our futures depend on it. I mean, I always think people are like, well, I'm not political and I don't get involved politically. And I'm like, yeah, but do you have morals? Like, where did those go? I don't remember growing up in the Catholic Church or any church that tells us to hate somebody else because of where they were born, because of what they look like. You know, and unfortunately, we live in an environment right now where that's what's happening. And that's not what we should be voting for. People say that they're one issue voters. I mean, I'm not a one issue person, right? And neither should anybody else be. We have to start thinking collectively if we want to start making some changes around here.
I love it. And how can people become more involved in fighting for what they believe in?
I would highly ask folks to educate themselves first, because you really have to know what you're talking about before you go and talk about it. And because you're going to encounter people who just, you know, talk the talk, who just, you know, whatever the narrative is, immigrants are bad, whatever their story is, they're just going to be so engulfed in that life that unless you really come with some facts, you're not going to change people's minds, right? I always say everybody has that racist uncle, right? And so, like, how are you going to approach him, you know, if you're not educating yourself?
And in those situations, you know, it's so funny because I was there over the weekend. And how can people approach these things in a delicate way that is not going to cause a huge blow up, but that you can also respect people and educate them in a way that's civil?
Yeah, I mean, that's where, you know, if you are going to be talking about things, especially about a population that you are not a part of, you definitely need to start speaking to people in that community. And then again, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to law school. I went to social work school, right? And so, I mean, I'm not going to argue law, but I will argue morals and values, right? I always stick it there. It's always about morals and values, and it's about how we should be treating people. And you guys, we're not doing a good job as a society on treating people good. I can tell you that right now.
How do you think that being a Latina and a single mom has affected you, your career, your life? Why is life different for you as a result of who you are?
I mean, I had to do everything. I had to do it better. I had to be stronger. Even now, I mean, you know, I walk into rooms. I don't walk into rooms with all my degrees taped to my forehead, right? I'm tiny. I know I look really, really young. And so it's like, you know, before I even start talking, people are trying to talk over me. They're not trying to listen. They're not trying to, you know, and it's like, you have to demand respect. And I have worked really, really hard to get where I'm at. And I'm going to demand it in every room where I'm at.
Yes, that is one thing that I love about you. You are a doer and you don't need to be loud in the room. You don't need to show anything off. You don't need to tape your degrees. You are somebody who does and makes things happen. And I love that about you. And I know that the community super appreciates that. So coming back to Casa San Jose, can you tell me a little bit about how Casa has changed since you got started with the organization?
Yeah, so we were in the basement of a Lutheran church. You know, I remember when I was in school at Pitt, and everybody like brought in these like beautiful slides and pictures, PowerPoints of like their wonderful offices where they had their internships, and I had like a old beat up picnic bench with the sides peeling and a broken up chair. And there was no air conditioning, there was no heat, there was like this little tiny window, and I could not have been happier because we were doing the work that we were supposed to be doing. I'm really grateful now that we're in a much larger space. We have 3 storefronts right on Broadway Avenue. Definitely need something bigger, so we're always looking. We're definitely staying inside Beachview. We're not going to leave that community, but it's great. You know, we started with 3 people. and a ton of volunteers. And now we're a staff of 12 and a ton of volunteers. And we've been able to have more programming, better programming, and just really been able to help a lot more people.
It's amazing. And I think that anybody in the community has heard of Casa. So to hear where you came from, how long ago was that? How long
5 years ago.
5 years. That's amazing. So about Casa, tell us about the programs. Let's start with what programs you guys originally had during that time versus what you have now.
Sure. So we have the Isaac program, which is Immigrant Services and Connections, and it's funded by the county. And what we do is called service coordination and navigation. So it's anything from reading people's mails to teaching them how to ride the bus to helping them reach their goals, whatever it might be, registering their kids in school. So that's what that is. We also have an intensive case management component where, service coordination was not intended to treat these more intensive cases. And so we created a program so that people can be a little more stable and then get them into service coordination. We have a slew of youth programming. We have a summer camp that we just finished. We did it virtually. We were able to purchase 50 laptops for 50 campers, and we did it all online. We have an after-school program where we help with tutoring, and that is kind of unique because there's a parent component to it. I myself can't help my son sometimes with his 6th grade homework. And so I can't imagine how other folks who don't speak the language are struggling, right? I know you feel me, Melanie. I know you do.
What about the math? What about the math, though? 3rd grade math? Are you serious? Oh, my gosh.
So we have that. We have a lot of cultural enrichment programs where kids, let's face it, it's kind of hard to be Latino in Pittsburgh. Kids go to school with kids that don't look like them. They don't want to speak Spanish. They're not proud of who they are. So we have this nice program which helps folks learn more about their home culture, their cultures from across the globe, as well as the American culture. We have a program at Brashear High School called Casita, which is like a mini Casa, and it's at Brashear High School so that we can directly directly work with the high schoolers there that tend to have a lot of the same issues that the folks that come through the door do. And then there's also kind of like a fun aspect to it's Jóvenes con Propósito, a lot of advocacy and education there. We have the community organizing, which is where we're really working on issues both locally at the state level and federally, trying to make sure that the voices of the community is heard and really building leadership within the community, right? Everyone knows I am not an immigrant and I never claim to be one. And so there are many spaces where I don't belong. And my job is to make sure that I get the people that do belong in those spaces. So making sure that we are advocating, and we had 8 community members go through a leadership program. We're very lucky to have the help of one of the foundations who got us an amazing trainer to work with folks, and now they serve as an advisory group for Casa. And from that, 2 of them will be now joining our board.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love how it comes full circle too. That was something that I had spoken about in another thing. It's the people who are getting the help that we're helping move forward that are coming back and helping the community again.
Melanie, right now, when COVID hit, maybe I'm jumping ahead because I just thought of this, but one of the most beautiful things that I saw, Casa wouldn't be around if it weren't for the volunteers. We have wonderful volunteers, wonderful allies, American people, right? And I'm so grateful to all of them. And they've always been there, always showed up, just like they did when COVID hit. But you know who else showed up when COVID hit? Community members. Community members who didn't have anything to offer but their time and their generosity, and they would help. They helped us deliver over 1,000 meals in the first month. They were there doing so many things. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing to see that. It wasn't expected because we knew that they were all going through a hard time, but so many of them came, and it was really great to see.
Oh, that is beautiful. And to see people working together, It's amazing. And I think that that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, that we all need to look out for each other. What about a little bit about how you work with some of the other nonprofit organizations in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, we have a really good working relationship with so many of them, so many that I probably couldn't name them all here. But had it not, if it wasn't for all the help that we've gotten right now, I don't know where Casa would be. We even have worked closely with PHDC, trying to get assistance out to people. We got a grant together, which was wonderful. The Latino Family Center, they started getting donations early on and said, listen, we're not going to be able to do a lot with the donations that we have. So can we send them over to you all? And then can we work together to get families the stimulus, the stimulus cash? And so we've done that. You guys, Melanie, come on. How many times have you called like, hey, do you need this? Do you need that? And I'm like, yeah. Send it my way. Send it my way. 412 Food Rescue. We had a great relationship with them before this, but even better and stronger now because of you. And just like, things like that. I mean, you don't have to do that, but you were there. So many people were there. I'm so, so grateful.
Well, at the end of the day, I think the thing is none of us have the resources alone as a single organization to give the community everything that they need. I mean, like in a perfect world, hey, that would be great. But at the end of the day, it's everyone working together that really moves the community forward. You touched on something a few minutes ago that when we were working through our connection problems, I was about to start talking about. You said, I am not an immigrant. I never claimed to be an immigrant. And as a result, I'm in some spaces that I shouldn't be in. And I want to talk a little bit about that. It's something that we've touched on in other chats. And there's kind of this thing in Pittsburgh where there's this view where things have to be Black or things have to be white, that there's no Latinos in Pittsburgh. And then when you do find the Latinos, maybe you're not Latino enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. And no matter what space you're in, people want you to have this imposter syndrome. And I personally, I've never felt that. I'm me, it is what it is. But I know it's a topic you and I have discussed a lot. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with that, how you feel, and how you get past it?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of a weird mix, I guess. Like I said, my dad is from Puerto Rico. My mom is from Guatemala, and I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. And my husband's Mexican. And so when we were growing up, we didn't speak a lot of Spanish at home. So my Spanish was terrible when I met my husband. I met him over 25 years ago. And so, but when I met him, he didn't speak English. And so I was like, oh man, I really need to communicate with this guy. I really like him. And so, I helped him with his English and he helped me with my Spanish. And so when I speak Spanish comfortably, I tend to have a Mexican accent, right? So people are just like, wait, you're not Mexican? So it's like, it's this thing of like, you kind of belong, but you kind of don't belong. And then my Spanish isn't perfect either, right? And so a lot of times when I'm speaking Spanish, especially publicly, I miss a word or, there's things I don't know. And I really am grateful, especially to the community, because they're so forgiving and they're so great and they help me out. But yeah, it's hard. It really is hard. I think here, I mean, I'm from Cleveland where there's a lot of Latinos. So it doesn't matter if you're Puerto Rican or Mexican. It doesn't matter. Here, it really does matter, And so like, I guess I'm pretty lucky that I'm kind of mixed with a couple things and I don't know. People accept me, I guess.
A lot of people who aren't Latino don't know. I mean, you're not Latino, you're not Hispanic until you come to the U.S., right? Because you're Guatemala and Colombian, et cetera. Tell the audience who doesn't know a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was just Mónica in Cleveland, right? And it's not till here where people are like, well, where are you from? And where are your parents from? And where were you born? And like, it's really not that exciting, right? I joke and I call my little one a Mexico-Puerto Rican because he's Mexican, Guatemalan, and Puerto Rican. But like, I mean, and then there's this whole aspect of because I'm Puerto Rican, and that's part of the United States. And what does that mean? I mean, we are who we are. And, my skin color tells it all. I'm proud. I'm so proud to be both Guatemalan and Puerto Rican. I'm so happy and lucky that the Mexican culture has embraced me. And accepted me. And, I'm going to take what I have and what I look like and push it to the limits like no one else has specifically here in Pittsburgh and pave the way, Melanie, because I'm raising kids here. I'm raising 3 boys, right? And my daughter. And it's like, I want them to see people that look like me and you, and see them to be successful and want to thrive, to be better and be more. And right now, with the blatant racism and everything that's happening right now, the structural racism, like, the opportunities for them to succeed are diminishing by the day. And I am going to work very hard to make sure that doesn't happen.
As am I. And that is actually one of the reasons that we're talking here today, because I want people to see you, what you look like, where you come from, identify with that themselves if they need to, or see that other people can do that as well. I think it's such an important message to get out there. You know, ya estamos y no nos vamos. You know, we're going to change it. We're going to make things happen. We are going to push things forward. I could get into a ton of things right now about all the things that Latinos are doing for the U.S. and for Pittsburgh, but I'm going to keep letting you talk. So I want to hear a little bit about DACA. I know that this was a huge legislative issue that your organization advocated for, and where I actually would like for you to start is with your White House visit.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah. So at that time I was the organizer at Casa, and I never learned a lesson so fast in my life that you have to be prepared for anything. And so when the president rescinded DACA, you know, there was a rally in front of the White House, and we took 2 buses out to DC. We had dreamers, their families, allies, friends there in hopes that it was going to be good news. And it wasn't. It wasn't, and it was devastating. It was absolutely horrible. And then having to come back on the bus, you know, those 4 hours with these kids were crying, their parents were crying. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And so I remember being on the bus that day and talking to one of them, and she was crying, and I was trying to, you know, talk to her, see if there was anything I could do to help. And she said, you know, it was on a Tuesday. I'll never forget this. It was a Tuesday. And she said to me, I'm supposed to close on my house on Friday. It was going to be their first home that they've had here in the United States. This little girl's been here since she was 2 years old. She is at that time 20, buying her first home at 20. She said, it was something for my parents. It was something for us to have. And now I can't. I can't, because if I lose my work authorization, how am I going to pay for it? So it was really bad. But let me tell you something. Those dreamers are force unknown. You know, they did not take this lying down. They met with city council. They met with set reps. They've been to the White House. They've been to DC. They've been all over the place, advocating, speaking publicly, doing all kinds of things, sharing their stories with anybody that will listen, so that people can learn and understand exactly what DACA is, and so that we won't lose it. And, you know, even though we won, right? But DACA is still in danger. You know, it's just political game and twist at every turn.
So I took myself off camera because when I was preparing for this, I was trying to tell someone that story, and I just cried. I mean, people don't realize this is a little girl who was here since she was 2. This is her home. She paid taxes. She had a job. She, you know, was buying a house, a majorly contributing member of society in a positive way. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and why DACA is so important, and what maybe people who aren't immigrants or aren't in an immigrant community don't understand?
Yeah, so DACA is grants you a work authorization and a social security number. It does not protect you from deportation, and it does not give you a pathway to citizenship. So if you commit a crime, you lose your DACA, you get deported. So DACA is something that you have to apply for now every year. The renewal is $500, and you have to do it with an attorney. So you have to pay attorney fees. And the new renewal, I believe, is going to go up to $800. Many of these folks are still in college. So college kids, I mean, I couldn't afford $800 every year in college, you know, that kind of thing. And it's difficult. You know, they've been here their whole entire lives. You know, the mayor one time spoke, and he said, when he said it, it hit me so hard, where it was like, these kids have been here their entire lives, pledging allegiance to our American flag. This is their home.
Yeah, that is such a hard topic, and people, people talk about immigration and all these things, but what they realize is these kids, they don't see themselves as immigrants, just like you or I. And really, what is the difference between you or me or them? It's just such a hard topic. And I actually didn't even know. You just taught me something. I didn't know that they have to pay every year. That's unbelievable.
It used to be every 2 years. But now, since the Supreme Court upheld DACA, the administration said, well, then now you have to renew every year.
So I want to come back to everyone needs to educate themselves legislatively. Not to say that you need to be on either side of it, but just to know these policies. For me, even sitting here right now, to know that that's a policy that I wasn't aware of, things that you're passionate about, take them to the voter booth. Mónica, let's touch a little bit. Let's lighten it up. I want to hear what your favorite story is, or one of the most positive stories that you have from working at Casa.
Can you repeat the question, because it went out?
Yeah. Tell us a positive or uplifting story from Casa.
Honestly, I cannot imagine working anywhere else right now. I don't know of anyone who has been able to expand their programming and hire people during a pandemic. And just to see, right now, Veronica is our community organizer. She was a volunteer, then she worked in Isaac, and she's been there for a long time. And she, like, just the pleasure and joy that she gets when every week when we get our food delivery, she's just like, yes, okay, we got all these boxes, let's do this. Oh, we have more, we can reach out. We've been delivering food to Cranberry, Westmoreland County, Washington County, from anywhere. We're just everywhere doing the work that we need to be done. There's no such thing as Casa doesn't do it, right? If we don't do it, we figure out who does it. But what I love most is that we are on the ground working with people, directly with people. On Saturdays when we have the distribution, you come in, you get information on where you can access medical services for yourself and your children. Then you get to know your rights, so that you know what your rights are when you go back to work. You get some masks, so you're not going back to work without masks. You fill out the census, and then you receive your $700 in cash, which was something that was really important for us, to give people money in cash in their hands, because people need to buy things besides pay their rent and pay their light, right? People need to take their kids for an ice cream on Fridays like they used to before COVID hit. They need to be able to pay their car insurance so they can drive. They need to do all these other things. And so who am I to tell people how to spend their money? So it's just been really great. We've done it for 12 weeks in a row now. And I oh my gosh, just talking to people, seeing what their needs are, and really making sure that those needs are being met either by Casa or another organization.
That's amazing. And like I said, you are an amazing connector. No matter what's going on, you guys always find a way to get it out. As long as it benefits the community, you make it happen. And it is such an inspiration to all of us. Speaking of which, how can our listeners get more involved?
Definitely. There's tons of stuff to do at Casa. I always tell people, you can volunteer an hour a year or an hour a day. It doesn't matter. Go to our website, www.casasanjose.org. Become an amigo, which you can get our newsletter. And there's plenty of things you can do from the comfort of your own home. Write a letter to your representative. It's time we should start talk to our representatives. People are afraid sometimes. So I tell them, hey, call at 5 o'clock, leave a voicemail, just as good, right? So, but they need to start hearing from us. A lot of these folks have been sitting in these seats for like 20, 30 years, and their constituency has changed, and we need to let them know that. But you can do things like that to, volunteering with our youth, or volunteering delivering food, or we're becoming a food pantry. That'll start September 8th, I believe. And so we'll be
amazing.
Yeah. Always trying to meet the needs of the community.
That is great. And that is another thing. I've seen so much positive growth, so many great changes that you guys are making. And as the Hispanic population grows, so do organizations like yours and like ours to meet those needs. I want to ask you one question before we get to the chat questions. If we could go back to little Mónica Ruiz sitting in class with sister teaching about the director of Casa San Jose in 2020, would she be proud of the woman you've become? And what advice would you give her?
Yes, I think she'd be very proud. I am so blessed to work along a sister of St. Joseph. Sister Janice has been someone who I admire, a wonderful role model. And she never hesitates to tell me how proud of me she is and encourage me to be better and do more. So yeah, I would think so. And man, I don't know. I always say I would tell younger me to slow down, but then I'm like, yeah, but then I wouldn't get everything done. So I don't know. I don't know.
You know, it always reminds me that when I thought of that, I was wondering what you were going to say, because when I think about it, I'm like, man, you know, there's mistakes, there's bad things. Of course, there's horrible things in every life, but like, that's what makes us who we are today. And as a part of this, I mean, when I was telling your story a little bit before you came on, I really hope that what people take away is just because you're an executive director of a nonprofit and you're this and you're that and you're working with the government and you have all this list of awards, which you deserve, by the way, what does that mean? What does that look like? Like, we all come from a hard place. We've all been through a lot. And no matter what you are going through right now, you can be the next Mónica, right?
or please be better. Please be better.
We can only do what we can do. We do have some questions. There are a lot of positives. I want to call out this question. This is a friend of mine, and it is his birthday. So I want to say happy birthday to Brandon Brooks from Inventrify. He has a company that does crowdfunding that mostly focuses on businesses. I'm going to put that down in the comments. And here's his question. Is the process for immigration more difficult now? I think he means under the current administration. And how can we help?
Yeah, so vote, always vote. Vote. And so immigration law hasn't changed. What's changed is the way that it's enforced and interpreted. And so that's what we're struggling with now. And so actually, you know, immigration laws were created to keep people out. The first immigration law was the Chinese Exclusion Act. And so it's kind of been following suit ever since. And so we need to get people to make immigration laws that actually service to help people. And we can do that by making sure that we elect the right folks to represent us.
Absolutely. We did have a question. I had a text question about how people can become volunteers.
Yeah, so if you go to our website, there's a button there where you can click Become a Volunteer. And then Sister Valerie will reach out to you, and she'll talk to you. She'll tell you about our programs. She'll like dig all the great out of you, and then she'll connect you with the right person at Casa, depending on what you want to do. Melanie, you're on mute.
Sorry. I was looking at a text question. The text question is, how has COVID-19 changed your leadership role?
Yeah, so it's been really hard. You know, we're still offering all the services that we did before, but we're just doing it virtually. But it really made me, you know, raising $1 million is really hard. It's really, really hard. And so I had to, you know, get myself in some really uncomfortable situations to make sure that I was doing the correct type of advocacy. Because one of the things I was, you know, some foundations were like, well, you can't just give people directly money. You have to pay their bills. And I'm like, no, well, then that's not where we're going with this. That's not what we're doing. You know, just really standing firm to make sure that I was meeting the community with the needs that they had. You're on mute again.
That's what I get for checking my text messages for questions. Those of you texting me, I'm done looking. I think that's been so amazing. And I think a lot of people, when they hear that you raised $1 million, that's something that seems so crazy. Tell us about how quickly you did that and how you went about that.
Yeah. So at first I was just like, man, I didn't know how long COVID was going to last. I didn't know anything. I was like, oh man, how are we going to help all these people? Right. And so I said, well, I'm going to raise $100,000. I'm going to help as many families as I can with those $100,000. And when I did, I was like, oh, I can do this. Okay, well, let me raise $350,000. And then when that came, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, wait, hold on. So then what really helped was a grant that I got for $500,000. And then that was what really got me close to the million. And I just kept fundraising. We did online fundraisers, tons of donations, lots of foundations stepped up, and we got the $1 million. We weren't only able to help people here in Allegheny County, but in other counties we were able to help. And we were also able to help not only Latinos, because college kids were excluded, and other folks. We teamed up with APALA, so folks from the AAPI community. We teamed up with the JAPO, and so we had all kinds of JFCS. So we were able to offer other folks, other immigrants, some relief as well.
And how long did it take you to raise that $1 million?
4 months. Busy. I was busy.
Was it fun though? I think it sounds super fun.
It was because there were so many asks out there that when they all started coming in that they were yeses, I was like, this is possible. This is really going to happen, And so again, I mean, that's how we were servicing about, I don't know, maybe like 200 to 300 people per month at Casa. And now it's like in the last 4 months, it's been over 4,000.
That's amazing. And how is that different from your numbers before? How many people did you serve before COVID?
About 200 to 300 per month. Yeah. Wow. No, it's incredible. It is incredible what we were able to do.
And that's the thing. In the community, having people step up like this. So, everyone's life has changed because of COVID. But there are so many people whose lives could not keep moving forward in a way that wasn't totally devastating without organizations like Casa San Jose, the Women's Center and Shelter, PHDC, the Latino Community Center. I mean, there are so many organizations that have stepped up to help. So I just want to give a shout to anybody who's watching, who has been a part of helping anyone during this. I know that my life has been better and able to move forward. Monica's life, everyone's life. So thank everybody. And on that note, I want to see, Mónica, is there anything else that you want to add before we end today?
No, just please, visit our website. Follow us on Facebook. We have a nice Instagram, all those social media outlets. We always have great stories, and it's really great to share these narratives, that you get this whole idea of like, oh, the poor immigrant. No, immigrants are resilient. They're amazing. And then they get to have great kids like us. And then, and we get to do even greater things. So please learn about this community and be a part of it. Just help.
And can you just tell us one more time how people can connect with Casa?
Sure. So our website is www.casasanjose.org.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us, Mónica. I will be back with you shortly. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I know it was a little bit unconventional with me sharing Mónica's story at first, but I'm really glad that we got to hear everything from her. And I want to let you guys know again that the Latino Pittsburgh Digital Speaker Series is an initiative of the Pittsburgh Metropolitan Area Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Our goals are to share relevant information, inspire growth, and foster opportunity. Speakers include community leaders and members, as well as others who do have a positive impact on not only the Hispanic community, but Pittsburgh as a region. Next week, we're going to be talking to Jeff Mallory. He is the Executive Vice President at St. Vincent College, which is a new position. I actually just checked it on LinkedIn really quick. He used to be at in diversity and inclusion at Duquesne. He works with the chamber. He's a tremendous and very inspirational guy, and I can't wait to hear from him. If you want to become part of our speaker series, you can email me at melaniemarie at pmahcc.org, and feel free to get more information anytime at pmahcc.org. Also, there are a bunch of links and things in the comments, and we hope to see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.